This is a battle of the Titans right here. Judge against Crochet. That's driven deep to left field. There it goes! See ya! A tie game! Judge, after 3 strikeouts, hits one over the monster seats, and we're tied at 1.
Hi, this is Emily Nyman, and you're listening to Breaking Balls. Welcome to episode 140 of Breaking Balls. I'm your host, Emily Nyman. I'm, of course, joined by my illustrious co-host, John Snyder. You can find us on Twitter at BreakBallsPod. Or if you're feeling brassy, just continue to enjoy the episode because we got rid of the phone line after we didn't record for a while. And we'll probably get one back soon, but who knows? We're just getting going again. And it's great to be back.
It really, truly is great to be back. I appreciate that intro. Just one thing, though. You say, of course, as if you haven't recorded a couple episodes in my absence over the last year. You thought I didn't notice?
Well, the funniest thing about my last episode that I recorded back in September was I was going through some shit, depression. You guys know how that goes. And I was really trying to force myself to do it because I have a hard time being creative when I'm in that mental state. Mm-hmm. So the whole episode was basically centered around like, just do it. And that was even the name. But then I didn't record anything again after that. It was like, just get out there and do it. I did not take my own advice.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you did do it. You just didn't do it again.
That is a good point. And since we're already here, it's June. We are approaching the All-Star break. We might as well just start right from now, right? No need to go back in time and rehash anything.
Zero reason to talk about the World Series or, God forbid, the offseason or nothing really happened that I can...
Well, actually, it is funny you say that because I suppose we should touch on the fact that it's crazy they canceled the World Series last year. What was that about?
I could see them canceling the World Series. I couldn't believe they canceled free agency.
Yeah, how is the Players Association not up in arms?
How are you supposed to go into this season with every single player that was on your team last? I can't imagine.
Well, you know what? We should say something. Yankees lost, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Yankees. Never mind. You know what? No,
yada, yada, yada.
Too easy. Never mind. Go ahead.
I'm not surprised now that we are months removed because Steve Cohen's whole thing was that he was not going to be outbid. He was basically being pretty vocal about that.
Yeah.
But I was still surprised, even though I knew that, because, and this is spoiled Yankee fan talking, because the Yankees always get their guy. So it was just for the first time ever. They didn't, and it was the Mets that did it. Dude, I was like, what the fuck?
I still can't believe it. It still doesn't look real sometimes.
It's crazy.
That was that's why it was bigger. It's funny because it's bigger than Soto, but it's also that big because it's Soto. Because he's generational like that, it's so big. But also the fact that regardless of player, that it was someone of that caliber, going from the Yankees to the Mets in their prime, debatably entering their prime with him, that doesn't happen.
It just goes to show and
you guys get Dwight Gooden and then he throws a no-hitter,
that's true. That is true. I forgot about that. And it just goes to show the culture shift over in Queens. And I know that's been rehashed a million times, but it is really exciting. And this isn't even some cope like a Yankee fan. It's the meme mask of me angry underneath, but I'm just pretending to be happy. It is really good for baseball. And you can attest to this, that I've said for a long time that baseball is more fun when both New York teams are good.
Yeah, and the Mets have really, the culture change is tangible. You know what I'm saying? And it really comes back to the combination of Steve Cohen and Francisco Lindor. Then, obviously it grew from there, bringing in David Stearns eventually. And, now we have Juan Soto, all that stuff. But those two figure, the injection of the financial support and hey, we're going to take this seriously. And then you have that leader come in. And you could tell that his clubhouse is without even knowing the inner machinations, you can just tell that it's tight knit, that there's they're held to task though, and they support each other, but they're also they're on top of each other. It's just positive in a way that especially being a Mets fan, seeing so many bad years where you knew shit was bad behind the scenes. We didn't know details necessarily, but you could just tell. it's such a breath of fresh air. You know, it really is. And coming back to what you said, like, yeah, it's just better when they're both good. And they haven't both been good in a long time, so it's nice.
And that is a perfect segue into the fact that while they are overall good, June swoon is in full effect.
It's not going great. Yeah.
No, they have not been very good for the last few weeks. In fact, now the records have changed. The Yankees, going into today, the Yankees and the Mets were both 11-12 in the month of June. Of course, the Mets just beat the Braves, so they are 12-12.
Right.
The Yankees have had down Junes, and my recency bias tells me that it's happened every season, but I think it might only be this season and last year. But you know how it is. It feels like it's every year when there's just a pattern of one.
Well, it's
and
funny because it's literally every year for the Mets. Like the June swoon is like a known entity. Like we're good in May and then June sucks, which is why last year, remember the gay Mets? I remember the gay Mets. I loved the gay Mets.
How could I forget?
That June was crazy because that never fucking happens. And now we're back to like, okay. And then some. This is particularly bad. The Mets, I mean, yeah, we won tonight, which is nice. 3-10 in the last 13 games. But yet we're still in first place. So that really is a testament to how well the beginning of the season went, you know?
It's crazy. And the same thing for the Yankees.
Yankees are up a half game too, right?
Yes, they are holding on by a thread over the Rays. They've gone 5-9 in the last 2 weeks. They got swept by the Red Sox. They finally, though, won a game versus Cincinnati Reds for the first time since 2023. They have been beating the shit out of us somehow.
Got that monkey off their back.
It has not been a great brand of baseball. When the pitching's been good, the hitting hasn't come through. When the hitting's been good, the pitching gives up 10 runs. You know, it's just one of those stretches.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to how important, you know, it's so easy to cope in the beginning of the season. Like if a team is not doing well, being like, these games don't matter. It's only April. It's only May. But the reality is when your team is playing really well, those games obviously matter just as much as they do down the stretch. But this sort of lull is going to happen even for good teams.
Yeah, for sure.
So it really helps when you go into these lulls with like a 6 or 7 game lead in your division, because then it takes a lot to piss it away. And then even if you do, you're still like right there and with under a game and a half, whatever.
Right. Even if, you know, get swept, for example. Not that that's happened to either of us recently.
2 series in a row.
Yeah. 2 in a row. That was not fun. Well, I mean, that was interesting with the Yankees because, you know, you got swept by the Red Sox, but then it didn't hurt so much the next day.
Yeah, I have to say, and that first game, so Crochet is about to pitch a complete game, a shutout, which one time Aaron Boone got annoyed that the reporters were calling it a complete game shutout because he said that it's redundant. The shutout implies a complete game, so I always get fucked up whenever I go to mention it. So Crochet is on the verge of it. Aaron Judge in the top of the 9th inning hits a ball onto Lansdowne Street out of Fenway. It was sick. Of course, the Yankees lost that game because they are literally the worst team in extra innings, and that's not even figuratively and exaggerating.
Like statistically?
Quite literally the worst team. They have an OPS in extra innings under 300 as a team.
Ouch.
It's horrible. So I knew they were going to lose that game, especially on the road. People were like, "Oh, this is heartbreaking." It's like, heartbreaking? Did you not watch the 5th inning of Game 5 of last year's World Series? This is nothing.
Yeah, come on. Perspective.
That homer from Judge, even though they lost, is going to feed me for weeks. I was so psyched about it. They lose. They drop the next 2. Oh, Red Sox fans are elated because they, of course, are just a middling. They've been like a 500 ball club since like 2018, basically. Right. But it was soon completely deflated, their balloon, because like hours after the news broke that Devers was traded to the San Francisco Giants, and like I immediately like posted like the meme of like the soldiers holding the papers that say Hitler dead, because Devers has just been absolutely terrorized the Yankees. I can't think of a better player that I wanted moved out of the division. Like if you were to ask me who would you love to see sent 3,000 miles away into the other league, it would be Rafael Devers.
All I could think of with the Mets was it was like, and obviously different circumstances entirely, but like when Freddie Freeman went out west,
literally,
thank God, finally, yeah,
couldn't be further away. Like,
right, yeah.
Please send him to the Nippon Baseball League next, please.
Yeah, that's like way to take the sting out of a sweep, huh?
Honestly, I saw so many Red Sox fans being like, you know, they didn't have to give our ops so much fodder right after the sweep.
Our ops. Somebody said how funny it would be if his first game as a Giant, he comes out playing first base.
Well, he did say that because they did play the Red Sox like the first weekend. Right. And he even like said like, oh, I'll play anywhere for the team. And of course, Red Sox fans were beside themselves. Right. But like, of course he's going to say that. What, he's going to be there for a day and be like, no, I'm not playing anywhere.
Alienate yourself to the fan base immediately. Yeah.
Just to take it back real quick to the Cincinnati series. So Carlos Rodon, he's been pitching really well. The Yankees pitching staff, their starters have been unbelievable. Max Fried has been more than I even possibly expected. He's been an ace. Rodon has been the pitcher that we were hoping he would be when they signed him 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. The other night, he's playing the Reds. He's pitching in Gem, 88 pitches in. Boone pulls him out of the game. They ended up losing that game. Loizaga came in, loaded the bases quick, gave up a bases clearing double, whatever. Right, they lost in extras. Surprise, surprise. Fans were beside themselves that Boone took Rodon out of the game at 88 pitches. Now, this was during that like nationwide heat wave. It was 100 degrees in Cincinnati at like 9 p.m. People were just convinced Boone, overmanaging, because they love to blame Boone for literally anything. Every loss, everything.
Which is funny, too, because like 88 pitches is not a low pitch count, especially nowadays. Like guys are not regularly hitting 100. That's like an event.
And he was like clearly emptying the tank in that last inning. He dialed it up to like his fastball like 96. So like he was really leaving it all out there. Yeah. And of course, after the game, we find out that Rodon is the one who said, "Listen, I'm cooked. I need to come out of the game. I'm tired."
Literally, it's 100 degrees out. Yes. I'm cooked.
I'm quite literally cooked. And then fans then go into they shift the goalpost and then go into players are soft, blah blah blah. And like, listen.
No, players are people. Like,
yeah,
it's hot, man. It's fucking hot out.
Hot as shit. I complain going from my house to my car, from my car to my office. I was like, This is too hot.
It's like you go out there and throw 20 pitches in this heat. Let me know how you feel.
Not to mention, with pitchers, starters will have it until they don't. Mm. It's very hard to see, like, usually they can tell by spin rates or, if a pitch isn't breaking enough that they can kind of see in the dugout if a guy is starting to get fatigued. But if a pitcher tells you that he's fatigued, why would you then send him back out there? Because then Yankee fans would be livid if all of a sudden Rodon starts giving up hits right away. Then it's like, they didn't pull him in early enough.
He goes to Boone, like, has to be pulled, and Boone's like, they're going to call you a pussy, bro. Are you sure?
Dude, at Yankee Nutcase online, they're going to call you a fucking pussy. But you know how it is. The manager, that's literally his job, right?
I mean, half of the job is professional scapegoat, right? Like, they're the first to go when something goes wrong.
And speaking of that, I've seen so many Mets fans because this year, because of Twitter just being an absolute dumpster fire, and it's really hard to have good discourse on there, I found myself looking at the team subreddits, which is, of course, kind of a mistake in and of itself.
That's a dicey proposition at best.
I saw someone today, I think it was on the Mets subreddit, that was like, why can't they just trade for Jose Ramirez? And it's like, what are you fucking talking about?
The team subreddits, I mean, like, speaking more so for the Mets, I'm assuming the Yankees is like this too. It's such a weird mix of like fairly like grounded, rational, like, people, and then insane people. Like the craziest people you will find on Twitter, they're on Reddit too, for sure.
Though I will say one of my favorite pastimes this season during the Royals series in particular, because the Royals are having a horrible season.
Yeah.
They have yet to have an extra base hit with runners in scoring position all year. Their offense is atrocious.
No, really?
Yes, it is really bad.
Wow.
The Yankees swept their season series. They went 6-0. Royals fans fucking hate the Yankees. Like, I honestly am not sure where it comes from. I know like every 29 fan bases hate the Yankees, so it's not even on some like pearl clutching. What do you mean? But like
what specifically with the Royals,
right?
Though?
The hate, it's vitriolic, and they have like game feeds. So like people will be almost like Twitter where they'll be talking as things are happening. And like, I'll just go to it after I judge Homer and they'll be like, I fucking hate Aaron Judge. It is just nothing but the most negative vitriolic shit. It's so funny.
See, like that would work for my like personal headcanon, because my very first game when I was like 4 years old was Yankees Royals, and the Yankees won. So like to me, that was the first baseball game ever, right? So like that ride, the Royals have just been pissed off since 1992.
Someone said something about like, oh, they're still mad. I guess, what was it like? The Yankees and the Royals played some sort of important series, I guess, during the George Brett years.
You can't even remember what it is. That's how significant it was.
And like, I'm sorry, and I know that people of all ages use Reddit, but there's no way that is what it is. George Brett is 70 years old.
People of all ages use Reddit, but most of them are 14. So like...
That is honestly what has taken me out of a lot of discourse on Twitter, is that I will be getting into arguments with like anonymous accounts.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this person's 15 years old.
Right. At what point are you like, is this a child? Is this a bot? Is that like what, you know?
But I digress. So the Yankees are hanging on to their division by a thread. Now, the AL East isn't as competitive as it has been in the past, which is honestly a little shocking, the teams that are competitive, because everyone was picking the Orioles to win the division.
What happened there? They're like the old Orioles. Like it's like back to form.
Folks, if you could see me, I am grinning like the fucking Cheshire Cat right now.
I could vouch for that.
It's great on many levels. One, because this was going to be a dynasty with all these young players.
Yeah, they had those four white kids that look exactly the same, right? Like, you know, with the wavy hair and the freckles and the whatever.
One of them literally has the last name Mayo. It's like, come on, that is
too on the nose.
NPC character.
But yeah, they were all set up, man. Like they had the trajectory, they were on the up. Even like last year, it was like, all right, well, you know, I mean, this is just the first year of how many years they're going to be good. They're garbage again.
They're horrible. And it's honestly really funny because they got new ownership recently. I don't know if it was last year or the season before. And Orioles fans, on top of like their youth movement, they were talking so much shit. And then, now we have an owner that's going to want to spend money. This is, we're going to have this, blah, blah, blah. And he hasn't done shit. They are so bad because he did not do anything to get good pitching in there. Like, their pitching is horrible. Their offense has not been great. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman have been not that great, but their pitching's been very bad. Now, in hindsight, not signing Corbin Burns ended up, I guess, being good because he tore his UCL.
Right, yeah, that wouldn't have been the move either.
But it still seemed like that should have been a move for them. But at least get somebody.
It's like we can't give them credit for not trying just because the option, had they tried, wouldn't have worked out. Like, that's not how that works.
No, because they could have got somebody else. They only got Charlie Morton.
Right, it's like, no, you guys still deserve what's happening to you right now. Yeah.
And I'm just such a hater. Like, I don't know if it's this podcast, if it's being online. Hating, because now everything is just about, like, I see fans being like, I feel like the Yankees have lost their edge, and people are always saying that, and it's like, honestly, the edge you're speaking of is just not winning a World Series and having to take shit from fans online.
Well, and listen, man, I know it's a cliche. It's a long season, dude. Like, it's June. You know what I'm saying? We're not even up to the All-Star break yet. I'm speaking in cliches right now, but like the All-Star break, it's not just like literally the midpoint of the season. It's like nothing matters till after then, right? It's literally see how you're doing at the All-Star break, and now we evaluate, are we making trades? Are we making a run? Like, do we have a shot? It's goddamn June. Like, everybody needs to take a breath. A lot of people are not built for this. They're really like, and listen, like, look at the Mets, right? So the Mets, they get swept by the Rays, and then what was it? I think then the Braves come in and sweep them. 2 sweeps in a row. They've lost 10 of their last 13 games, and they're still 48-34. They're still a half game up in the East. Like, everything looks bad right now. It looks like the sky is falling. The Mets look like they can't buy a win. Well, I shouldn't say it. They just won 2. It was a lot more dire 2 days ago. But still.
But that's how fast it happens.
And that's what I'm saying. That kind of turnaround can happen that fast, It was scary for a minute there, though. Like, the Mets came out of the gate. Like, we were 45-24 on June 12th. That's insane. We were over 20 games over 500. And like I said, 3-10 since. The pitching was what was carrying it, and the pitching's just regressing to the mean. Senga got hurt. You want to talk about, like, potential MVP shit, right? Like, he was having a Cy Young 2 months, which, okay. But, but he
that matters, though.
He had the top ERA in the league, and then he gets hurt. And now tonight was tough. Griffin Canning. We unfortunately were watching when that happened. It was very clearly an Achilles injury, which was confirmed by the Mets on the TV just a minute ago. But so that's the injury bug is real with the Mets, man. It seems like it's an every year thing, but it's happening again, man. And then Alvarez, we had to send him down. He's not hurt, but he's not hitting, so he's down.
That's the trials and tribulations of a season.
I started this segment talking about what a long season it is, and I'm getting despondent as I'm talking through it.
John is tearing up as we speak.
God damn it! No, but listen, there's there's hope, right? Montas just came up. We lost the game 2 nights ago, but he looked really good in his start.
And I love that for him.
Yeah, he looked, which was interesting because he looked like dog shit coming up in AAA. His rehab starts, I should say, were fucking terrible, to the point where they were like, do we start him? Do we hold him back another start? Brought him up, and the guy looked great. Mania is throwing I think he threw for Brooklyn the other night, so he's like going to be back soon. So reinforcements are on the way, but it's really just like, got to kind of tread water right now, and we got to kind of rely on our offense a little bit more, which I know we're not talking about the offseason. We don't have to because it's June, but Juan Soto is a Met. And there was some discourse early on before we were recording about that Juan Soto was miserable as a Met, and that he
hates it there.
He hates it there,
me.
and he misses the Yankees, and he misses Aaron Judge, and
I know the looks on his face. I can read his looks.
My God, was that discourse insufferable?
Ugh, it was horrible.
And finally, Soto is heating up, and he's starting to look like Soto. This is because we'd written this down before the game. Before tonight, his last 7 games, 5 home runs, 350, 480. 1100 slash. His slugging, not his OPS, his slugging over the last week is 1.1. Not bad.
And I think he just recently passed, I forget who it was, Jimmy Fox maybe, as the most multi-homer games for someone under the age of 27.
Yes, yeah, he just passed Jimmy Fox for that. He just passed, like Pete Alonso is the home run guy in the Mets. He just passed Alonso on the list for home runs this season. He's got 19 so far. And listen, did Soto have a slow start? Yeah, he did. But for one thing, his weighted runs created plus is 152. That's 9th overall in the league. His FWAR is 2.4. That's 28th overall. He's still Juan Soto.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a slow start. We got him for 15 years. Will live.
Yeah. And the thing about Soto is that he always is going to get his walks. So even when he was not really
he's
swinging
gonna
it
get
great,
on base. He was right. And
when he's
walking.
not swinging it, he's still going to get on base, and that's what he was doing. Because even in the beginning, when he was really struggling, he was still maintaining an OPS over 700, which obviously is not acceptable over a large sample size for Juan Soto. But it was that high because he was still getting on base almost 40% of the time.
Him struggling is like league average, basically.
And of course, well, you know what? It's not even worth going back to that too in depth because he's now back to who he is, and that was always going to happen.
Yeah,
it was always gonna. He's just too good. It's not like he was suddenly forgetting how to hit.
Right.
And since we don't have to go too far in depth into what he was 2 months ago, we can look forward, and he's even now at the point where he might even get into the All-Star game.
Yeah, he's currently in the voting. I think he's the 6th outfielder, which I think they take 6 of them.
Yeah, I think something like that. Judge.
Well, it's a backup for every position, right? So it's like 3 outfielders and a backup, I think.
Because now they just closed the first round, and Judge and Ohtani were the top vote getters, which is predictable.
Shocking, yeah.
And Judge was the top vote getter, which obviously I was psyched about. He won by 45,000 votes. They get their auto bid into the game, starters. So now we're into the second round of voting, and I'm hoping that Lindor gets his first All-Star game as a Met.
Yeah, after the first round, Lindor was the top vote-getting shortstop in the NL. He was up by about 200,000 votes over Mookie. Yeah,
who's been dog shit this year, let's be real.
Yeah, so
Mookie's been
listen,
so bad.
The last couple of years, it's been a bit of a snub for Lindor, frankly. So, he really, to the extent that, there's a popularity aspect to the All-Star game. We've talked about this previously, but, he deserves it.
And the All-Star game is for the fans. While we were getting ready to record, I saw someone retweeted it onto my timeline. It was, from the Reds community. And someone posted, which these are the bane of the baseball community existence, the comparison things from Baseball Reference that just, list the average.
Oh, God,
They're horrible. Someone posted Lindor and Ellie De La Cruz. And when you see it, it looks like, because they do the color, if the player's leading in the category.
The green is the better one.
So Ellie De La Cruz had basically every category was green, but when you look at it, it's by marginal amounts. It's he deserves it. This, the All-Star game needs to be overhauled. The voting.
Oh my God.
The All-Star game is for the fans.
Right.
So sorry that the Reds have a much smaller fan base than the Dodgers and the Mets, but that's who's going to be watching the game in mass. Yankees, Dodgers, Mets fans are going to make up fucking 80% of the audience. Yeah, sorry, Cincinnati. Dude, Ellie De La Cruz fucking beat our ass in that series, by the way. He's so fucking good. It's crazy.
He really is, yeah. And I know for the home run derby, we got Acuna said he's doing it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, I know like Pete's whole thing, Pete Alonso, is he's only going to do it if he's in the All-Star game. He was the second vote getter among NL first basemen behind Freddie Freeman. So
he's got a chance.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to, so I feel like he would if he gets in.
It would be weird for him to not do it.
It would.
He
be
like
weird.
has to do it now.
It's his thing. He's,
right.
You know,
I want to see him.
He's a
beat
big
some rookie.
doof who hits dingers. Like that's his whole thing.
I love his pre-game routine for the All-Star game. They show him like in the hallway, just Peter, with his eyes closed, all zen,
just meditating. Not a blessed thought in that himbo brain of his.
I would love to ask him. We gotta get him on pod.
Peter.
Just echoing in his own fucking head. I can't believe I forgot about the Derby. I have no idea who's participating.
I only saw in passing that Acuna Jr. is doing it.
Good. That's good for the sport because
Yeah,
I get it. Like,
yeah.
Everyone wants the younger guys to do it because they can win $1 million, and that's really cool. But like, the Derby should have some star power.
It should. Like, as long as you're not a guy who's concerned. I know for some guys, like I don't know how much merit there is to this, but a lot of guys have the mentality that like it hurts their second half performance because it's definitely some physical exertion.
Oh yeah, it's exhausting.
I feel like for a guy like Pete, that's a little bit less, just because he's just such a big, strong idiot. It's just
he's got Lenny from Of Mice and Men vibes.
Yeah, he's got that caveman strength, let's say. But yeah, like ostensibly otherwise, yeah, like it should. Frankly, I don't want to watch a bunch of guys I don't know trying to hit home runs, right? I want to watch the guys that I know. That's the whole thing. I'm rooting for my guy, that whole thing. So if we're talking about Judge is a lock for the All-Star game, you must be bored with that. You're probably thinking MVP already at this point, right?
Well, fans are forcing. Well, Judge's performance is forcing me to think about it.
Yeah,
of
there
course.
it is.
He's been in a little bit of a slump for Judge, which is in the month of June he has a 900.
Is he hitting under 300 yet?
No, not even close. But he has dropped significantly from 400. I mean, he was there between 390 and 400 for a long time.
Yeah,
it was crazy,
that's
actually.
Impressive.
Like the guy has multi-hit games like every game. It's just automatic. I can't believe it's like he's playing a different sport. It's really crazy.
And a not insignificant part of it is like he's staying healthy. Like how many seasons were we kind of like robbed of his potential to even like get this kind of momentum going and do this? Dude,
if it wasn't for that freak injury at fucking Dodger Stadium with his toe, he would be on the verge of winning his 4th MVP in a row.
That's what I'm saying.
It's crazy. So every year now, around this time, because listen, I get it. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to say, there's an MVP race, and especially because it's only June. We have a long way to go.
Right. So, like, because I'm a Mets fan and I'm just so, like, scarred overall, I'm only going to participate in this a little bit because, like, I made the mistake of it's my fault that Senga got hurt is what I'm getting at, basically, because I had the thought, like, wow, this is, like, some Cy Young level shit. Boom, he's hurt. So
immediately after that thought.
Right. Yeah. So you can talk about it if you want.
To give him his flowers, Cal Raleigh is having an unbelievable season so far. Like,
really impressive.
Especially considering that he catches most of the games. And that's a really physically demanding position. He leads the league in homers, and he's got a weighted runs created plus that is flirting with 200. So he's like maybe 30% lower than Judge, which I know that sounds like a lot, but that is pretty close to Judge. So of course,
pretty Judgian.
It's very Judgian. So of course that leads to MVP talk. Cal Raleigh, he should be MVP over Judge because he plays defense, and Mariners fans are salivating over this. The media is salivating over it, and on one hand, I understand that, and some days I'm able to remind myself, like, listen, the talking heads need something to talk about. Fans need something to talk about. It's okay for this sort of talk to happen.
It's kind of like it's the sports version of the 24-hour news cycle.
Yes.
Like it's less toxic and harmful because it's just sports, but they really do need to stretch it as far as they can,
And for someone who is, dare I say, too invested in Judge's career, especially considering he has no idea that I exist, it is harmful and toxic to me, this talk. Because this is the same shit that people said last year with Bobby Witt Jr. And Bobby Witt Jr. had an MVP season.
Oh, yeah.
He had a 9-something FWAR. He was incredible.
Yep.
Defense and offense. But Judge was the clear MVP. And of course, the voters made that clear too. Not only did Judge win MVP, but he was unanimous.
Right.
But fans were trying to act like, well, Judge, Bobby is the best shortstop in the league, and that's a really important position. And now fans are doing the same thing with Raleigh with catching, like as if that defense, a premium defense position, somehow makes up for the massive gap in offense between them and Judge.
You know what that feels? It feels like like an incorrect extension or like misunderstanding of the logic of like. So like I look at the Mets, right? Like we sent like Alvarez down because like the power threat of the future is just not being a power threat right now. Right. So Luis Torrens is doing the majority of our catching, right? Torrens is a very good catcher. He's picking guys off at second. Awesome. The dude is not a good hitter. He's just not. I would say, I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me. He's like slightly below league average kind of hitter.
Which is pretty good.
Right. And that's the thing. For a catcher, it's like, okay, you're going to like not be the best hitter, but you're a solid catcher. Like you're not a total black hole in the lineup. Like we can deal with that. You can't extend that logic and flip it where it's like, oh, this catcher's having an unreal season and you get bonus points because catching is so hard. Like, no, you don't. The grace that we give you when you're not doing as well because catching is so hard does not get reversed into bonus points when you are doing well, Thank
you. I totally agree. And because a lot of it, and not to repeat myself, because I'm now even trying to, as I'm getting worked up talking about it, trying to remind myself, like, it's still June, whatever. But a lot of it to me, it comes off as like people trying to make excuses to not give Judge MVP. And maybe that's definitely my bias in terms of how I'm viewing the situation, but that's how it came off last year with Bobby Witt Jr. Like just trying to, it wasn't about giving Bobby Witt the MVP. It was about not giving Judge another MVP. So that's how it comes off to me.
And right, this would be how many in a row if he won this year?
2 in a row. He won in 2022 and then got hurt in 2023.
Right.
Last year.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like some people are reticent just for that. Like they want to see the variety. Right. Unless they're Shohei Ohtani, then they'll just suck him off all day, and he automatically gets every NL MVP for the next fucking decade.
Dude, don't even get me fucking started. Like, this is our podcast, so we can say whatever we want. I obviously appreciate Shohei Ohtani, and he's an incredible talent, and he's back on the mound again.
Talent.
He's thrown, I think he's doing like his rehab starts at the major league level because he obviously is really important to their lineup.
Right.
So he's only pitching like 1 inning at a time, but it's really good to see him throwing again. It's great for the game, blah, blah, blah. That said, I would be lying if I didn't say that I feel a little resentment that Shohei Ohtani and Judge are playing at the same exact time.
Totally.
And this is gonna, if any fans of any team besides the Yankees and Dodgers listening to this are probably gonna maybe shut off the podcast when I say this, but it just feels like Judge should be getting so much more press that Ohtani, like the MLB account sucks off Ohtani so bad, and not that he doesn't deserve it, but it'll just be like, something will happen. They'll be like, oh, home run hit by this player. Great. But then Ohtani will be like, Ohtani, sack fly, all caps.
Exclamation. I feel like that account has become aware of it, like with the exclamation points and when they use it and don't. Like, because it's not subtle. It's really not. And like, I've had that thought, especially with MVP awards, right? Because no Met has ever won an MVP. And especially, first with Lindor, right? Because
last year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and like last year, and like Lindor's not a guy that's going to like win every single year, but Lindor is 100% the player that could have that year and he wins an MVP. Nope, easily Lindor could do that. Juan Soto then becomes a Met. Juan Soto's even the kind of the guy that could win 2 in a row, if he gets on a hot streak. But Shohei Ohtani is there.
Right.
So neither of them are ever going to. And like our 2 best shots at that right now are just going to be overshadowed for the next decade. Just because this motherfucker pitches too.
I know. I can't tell you how happy I was to see him get out of the American League.
Oh my God, I hate it. And really, honestly, I kind of extend that, and we'll see what happens, obviously, to the Dodgers as a whole right now, existing as they do with all these crazy deferred contracts and this insane roster and all this shit. And granted, I'm a Mets fan complaining, with our high payroll and we have the wealthiest owner and all that shit. So like, granted, I'm aware of that. Just the fact that we're existing at the same time as the Dodgers right now, where like it feels like we could like steamroll a little bit more if they weren't there, is so fucking annoying. They're just going to be that constant like presence that you need to get past if you want to make anything happen. And the NL overall is just really good right now.
Oh yeah, the NL is stacked. And the Yankees dynasty of the late 90s and early 2000s, and even the Giants of the 2010s. Because
the every other World Series dynasty, yeah.
They kind of, and especially for Yankee fans, but even the league as a whole, it kind of set us all up to think that that is something that's like possible. But the game is so different now than how it was then that there is no team. Like the Yankees were like unbeatable in those years.
Yeah.
So quite literally, I mean, they won 3 World Series, almost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
That is just not how, there is no team. Because even the Dodgers have been unbelievable. Just like the Yankees, they go to the postseason every year, but they won the World Series last year, and 2020, whatever. They won last year, but they've always gotten close and then not really gotten there. Like baseball, people act like there's not that much disparity, but there kind of is in terms of their World Series winners. So that is like what I hold on to is like the Dodgers, and they get so much positive press. So it makes it feel like they are a dynasty that is unbeatable. But at the end of the day, obviously last year notwithstanding, they are just as infallible as any other franchise.
Doesn't it, like, just to be a little petty for a moment, if I may, doesn't it suck that we no longer have like the, oh yeah, okay, you won in 2020, congratulations. Like, nope, they won a real one now.
Not only does it suck,
I mean, for you especially.
but the fact that it was against the Yankees,
I know.
Dude,
I mean,
will say,
listen, to be fair, they beat the Mets the series right before that.
That's
okay.
true.
It wasn't a lot of fun for me either.
And then the Yankees and the Mets had their the best loser competition where you had fans being like, well, we took 2 games from them. And it's just like, please, we both lost, okay?
And then the Mets signed Juan Soto.
John, you son of a bitch. But at least Ohtani didn't do shit during the series. That is like my only saving grace. It was all Freddie Freeman.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to talk about players who didn't do anything during the World Series, or do you want to go to the next topic?
John, I will close this podcast forever right now.
It was right there. I had to.
I'm like, I spent 20 minutes on my love of Aaron Judge, and you do that.
So Jacob deGrom looks good, huh? Yeah, he's deGrom's back.
I can't believe that he's back as good as he is. To be honest,
you know what? I really can.
He's so good, but like I thought he was just going to be riddled with injury.
Listen, like the trajectory that he was on, like there was no way he was going to sustain what he was doing. Right? Throwing 102 miles an hour, those crazy numbers, like. I feel so like I never use the sentence, but I literally feel blessed that I got to go to see a few starts of him during that run.
Totally.
Like that's just like that was magic. That was absolute just like magic in a bottle.
Literally one of the best
lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, some of the best seasons of all time.
Incredible. Yeah. So like if you're telling me, which this is what he did, you're telling me that this guy's gonna like retool his approach so he's not blowing his arm out and that this guy knows how to pitch and he's gonna be good. Totally, man. You look at him right now this season, he's got a .88 whip. He's got a 2.08 ERA. He's not striking out guys at the same rate because he's not throwing as hard, but he's still got 94 strikeouts. That's 24th in the league. He's really good, man.
He almost threw a perfect game and then a no-hitter against the hapless Orioles.
That's right. So, I mean, it really, even if it wouldn't really have counted, it's against the Orioles. But no, but yeah.
I was ready to discount it. Don't get me wrong.
And that's another one of those where, like, listen, I wish he was a Met. God, yes, I wish he was a Met. But you know what? He didn't like it in New York. He didn't want to be here. God bless him down in Texas with those no taxes or whatever the fuck the deal is. Whatever he went down there for, fine. But he's another one of those. We talk about, like, you know, it's better for the game when the Yankees and Mets are good. When Jacob deGrom is healthy and pitching like he's pitching, that's good for the game, man. He's an all-time great, first ballot Hall of Famer easily. Like, come on.
And that's why, like, it's worth giving contracts to true generational pitchers like that. Him, Verlander, Scherzer, even Garrett Cole, who obviously is missing this whole season with he had Tommy John surgery in March, and he won't be back until probably May or June of next year.
Yeah.
That sucks. And Cole has been such a workhorse. He's someone who didn't really have any injuries leading up to that his whole career. He took the ball every 5 games. But they are so good, and they are such students of their craft that I am not worried about how he's going to age. Like, they are able to, like you said about deGrom, they're able to evolve to what is best for them now and evolve to their body. And that's why they age so well. That's why Scherzer and Verlander were still effective into their late 30s.
It's like
they're so good.
It's like every pitching color commentator says, like, you know, this guy knows how to pitch.
Right.
And it's a truism, though. You know, it really is. Like, okay, like you can't overpower guys with speed anymore. You know, you're throwing 93, 94. You could still be good if you know what you're doing with pitch selection and getting in their head and fooling them, you know.
Because at the end of the day, and I always try to remind myself this whenever, especially the back end starters, like for the Yankees, it's, Clark Schmidt and Will Warren.
Yeah.
It's about keeping your team in the game and putting them in a position to be able to win. So I don't even need my pitchers to go out there and throw up zeros every start. And like people will act like the sky's falling because the pitcher gives up 3 runs. Like, listen, that's keeping my team in the game. They can still win a game with the ops getting 3 runs.
Whenever I get in my head like that, I always try to remind myself there's literally a stat called a quality start where you give up 3 runs over 6 innings and we say good job. So like, yeah. 3 runs never bothers, unless it's like, abysmally, like, you give up 3 runs in the first or something.
Right.
But yeah, you give up a few runs, like, who ends the season with a 0 ERA? It doesn't, like,
right.
Again, not built for baseball, man. Like, things are going to go wrong. You're going to have starts where you give up 4 or 5 runs. Doesn't mean that you're a bad pitcher suddenly.
Exactly. And that's, to the point, is that guys like DeGrom or Cole, and obviously not till later in the career, because DeGrom is having a 6th season, but they have so much length that even if he's 38 and he's now the 4th starter and only allowing 3-4 runs, like it's about keeping the team in the game, and these guys can do it until they're literally 40 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. And they provide that veteran presence and experience, and like they have all these intangibles later in the career too, where the value is beyond just keeping the team in the game,
And you know what? I think that about wraps it up for our first 140th episode of Breaking Balls. Yeah. I guess, what is this, like season 3? Or season 2 when we came back in like 2022 or 2023. It was only a few episodes.
That was like our 2020 season.
Yes.
Right?
Now, exactly. That was our COVID shortened season. Now we're back in season 3.
Season 3, baby.
It's so great to be back. We want to thank all of our listeners for always sticking with us and now coming back full strength. You guys are the best. We want to thank all of our callers in the past, people who left voicemails that never got listened and never got aired from all the
there was probably
starts.
like a bank of voicemails like when the number got deleted, right?
Dude, yes, there was, because I kept on having all these false starts of like, I'm going to record an episode, and then I wouldn't do it. So whatever you said, we appreciate it.
This is normally where we would tell you to call us, but call that number. Let us know, what is it now? Like, who got it?
I mean, 631-820-7377 is probably someone's number. So give it a call. Hit us on Twitter. Let us know whose number that is, at BreakBallsPod. And of course, we want to thank our amazing and patient producer and engineer, DJ Bingington. You can find him on Twitter as well, at DJ BINGINGTON. And we will catch you guys next week.